Well, rather interesting information to share with you guys today, and that is this. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has just given $200 million to fund technology that will give us Mark of the Beast style technology. No joke. Now, if you've not heard of what the Mark of the Beast is, it's in the Bible, in the book of Revelation. It talks about during the end of days, the 7-year tribulation, people will receive a mark on their hand or forehead, and you cannot buy or sell or trade without it. The bad news is you do not want to get this mark, because that will mark you, well, as, if you will, part of the Antichrist system. And let's just say it doesn't look good if you get that mark. But either way, right now, I've got evidence to show you today of Bill and Melinda Gates funding, or their foundation funding and setting aside $200 million for technology that I'm going to call Mark of the Beast style technology, which leads in that direction, and also a digital Gulag system similar to what they have right now in China. But before I do, check out my partner at healthwithlisa.com. Look, if you guys have not tried this stuff, please do. It has really helped my hair, my skin, and nails, and given me that youthful appearance. But if you're looking for something to, help you get that younger looking skin, this is absolutely it. It has 5 different types of collagen. I mix it personally in my coffee every morning, but you can also mix it in, say, your shakes, if you take shakes or anything like that. But this is amazing stuff, and right now you can get it for up to 51% off. Just check it out at healthwithlisa.com and take care of yourself. And you could do that there at healthwithlisa.com. Also, information in the description box below. All right. So let's dive into this digital Gulag system being funded by the Gates and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and how this is really kind of making the Mark of the Beast come more to the forefront, which is eerie, especially if you know Bible prophecy, but hopefully you're right with Jesus. But let's dive in. Let's go directly to, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And by the way, can't stand the guy. He is a authoritarian tyrant. But here we are. Gates Foundation has announced $1.27 billion in health and development commitments to advance progress toward the global goals. And the global goals that they're referencing there are your sustainable development, United Nations, global order type of rules, right? First, in-person goalkeepers event since 2019 convenes global change makers to highlight the urgency of achieving a more, here's that word, equitable word by 2020. That word seems to be everywhere lately, but let's dive in to where he's giving this funding. And he kind of breaks it down in this report. It says the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation announced the following commitments to this week. And these are commitments that they are making towards the Sustainable Development Goals, the United Nations. $912 million toward the Global Fund to fight AIDS and tuberculosis and malaria. Sounds great. $100 million to help alleviate the food crisis in some areas. Then we have a commitment to Child Nutrition Fund. And then we have this little monster, which is just kind of in there. And this is the one that I want to focus on. And it's $200 million to expand the global digital public infrastructure. This funding will help expand infrastructure that low and middle income countries can use to become more resilient to crises such as food shortages, public health threats, and climate change, as well as to aid in pandemic and economic recovery. This infrastructure encompasses tools such as interoperable payment systems, digital ID, there it is, data sharing systems, and civil registry databases. So these are the key things right here to this $200 million that he is donating. So he's specifically saying, I'm going to give all this money to one particular sustainable goal, because there's 17 sustainable goals, but I want to hone in on the one that Bill and Melinda Gates' foundation is honing in on, and that is goal number 16. Let's go to that one, because I want to just refresh it in your brain, even though you probably know, or you might know what it is. But here it is, UnitedNations.org, Sustainable Development Goals. You can see here they have all their little goals listed. You can blow this up if you want, but you see everything from peace, prosperity, solving world hunger, like impossible impossible goals that, are impossible to fix. But anyway, until Jesus comes back, right? But I want to hone in on number 16. So let's explode number 16 here. And here it is. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Provide access to justice for all and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Sounds wonderful. Sounds great if it's accomplishable, but everything they do always sounds beautiful on the surface, and there's always hidden agendas underneath it. Oh, excuse me. Now, this particular goal, I'm going to go in because they have subcategories, right? Here's their subcategories of exactly what they want to reduce. Here, for example, 16.1 is they want to reduce all forms of violence. Okay, that's an impossibility unless we're all sinless. That ain't ever going to happen, but either way, let's scroll down because I want to hone in on 16.9 here. And here it is. By 2030, they want to provide legal identity for all, including birth to registration. That means they want to make sure that you have some kind of ID or implantable microchip or a microchip that can go in your hand or your forehead, whatever, some kind of something that links everything. Maybe it will link your health. Maybe it will link your name, your social security, your banking account, whether or not you've had your vaccines. We've seen some of that during the COVID-19 pandemic. But this is a global ID. So in other words, they want a global citizen ID, very bluntly. And this is exactly what Bill and Melinda Gates intend to fund when they say a digital public infrastructure. They're specifically referencing this digital ID data sharing system on a global scale. That's downright eerie, especially in light of Bible prophecy. Don't think this is already going on because it absolutely is. Let's dive on over to what's going on, in Canada, our brother and sisters, right? Take a look here at epictimes.com. Canada has partnered with World Economic Forum to unleash digital IDs. Is the United States next? And I'm going to say we absolutely are. It goes on. The World Economic Forum is actively promoting digital IDs. The Known Traveler Digital ID, KTDI, is a World Economic Forum initiative that, according to its website, brings together the global consortium of individuals, governments, authorities, and the travel industry to enhance security in world travel. As you can probably tell by the name of the initiative, digital IDs are a core component of the World Economic Forum's desire to enhance security. Canada is KTDI's most prominent member, and now Canada, supposedly a country interested in advancing human rights, wants to introduce a federal digital identification program. This is all about tracking you, tracing you, and monitoring you, and putting in a digital gulag, which is exactly the thing that will lead to the mark of the beast. In case you don't think this KTDI is of existence, here it is. Known Digital Traveler ID. This is their whole website. They've got their partners here, World Economic Forum, and the entire country of Canada. But there's others who have jumped on. Government of Netherlands. We've got airports here, and we've got different kind of areas here. Royal Dutch Airlines, Air Canada, and all of these. But this is absolutely one of the plans and agendas from the World Economic Forum. By the way, we don't elect anyone in at the World Economic Forum, so we have international authoritarians trying to drive policy here in the U.S., and that's downright terrifying, especially understanding that Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is funding part of this kind of initiative. It says in that same report on Epic Times, according to a recent report released by the Canadian government, those in charge want to make it easier for Canadians to interact with the government of Canada. For this to occur through modern integrated systems and an unwavering focus on the needs and experience of citizens are required. In plain human language, this will require the introduction of digital IDs. The elites in Davos, one imagines, are excited by these developments in Canada. That's exactly what it is. This will require an introduction of digital IDs. With Canada authorities creating the infrastructure required to implement a digital identification network, some are concerned that a social credit system similar to the one in China is just around the corner. Their concerns are warranted. Digital IDs lay the path for social credit systems. If social credit systems are the main course, digital IDs are the start of them, the very starter. Without them, implementing a social credit system would not be possible. That's chilling. That is absolutely chilling. So over in Canada, they're creating this system. They're not thinking about it. They're doing it. We already have an ID here. We have our driver's license. And of course, now we have the real ID where they're putting some of your biometrics involved in that. But you can also use passwords. We already have a system. We don't need it. We don't want anything to do with the World Economic Forum's global ID. We want out. We don't want a part of it. And we don't want these authoritarians dictating our stuff here, but they're already doing it in Canada, and Canada allowed it. And they're actively doing it. So with that lingering thought in our mind, I mean, what's the chances of it coming to the United States? Well, it's already made its way into some of our proposed bills. Take a look here. It says on reclaimthenet.org, new bill aims to make digital IDs pervasive in the United States. Representative Bill Foster, of course, a Democrat, has reintroduced the Improving Digital Identification or Identity Act, a bipartisan bill that would increase the federal government's involvement in the digital identity ecosystem. It is set to be approved by the House Committee on Oversight and Reform. They have a copy of the bill. I'll link it in the description box, but it says the bill seeks to require the federal government to use its authority to help citizens prove who they are online through the provision of optional ID validation services, which augment private sector digital identification and authentication solutions. The bill also requires the creation of a task force on digital identity and a grant program at the DHS to support the development of interoperable identity verification systems at the local and state levels. Yes. Yes, yes. This is not the first time the bill has tried to go through Congress. This is the second time, I believe, that it's tried to go through Congress. And I see more of this happening in the very near future. I know Kristen Sinema in Arizona presented some form like that as well. $200 million being funneled for this digital Gulag system that could very well lead to something like the mark of the beast spoken of in Bible prophecy. And it could, which I think a step in that direction is exactly what they have in Canada, where they rate you on a social score. They take if you've paid your fines, if you've paid your taxes, if you filed your taxes, if you've crossed the street illegally, if you jaywalk, if you say bad stuff against the government, then your score goes down over in China. And this is called a social credit score system. And they will absolutely link that to these digital IDs one way. Digital IDs, they're absolutely talking about doing that. So we could see a repeat of right now what's going on in China, in Canada, and also in the United States of America and on a global scale. This is what these authoritarian want. They want us to be tracked and traced and monitored. They want us to be controlled. They want to be controlling what we say and do. And this is why we have to stand against these global organizations like the World Economic Forum, these big billionaires like your Bill Gates, like your George Soros, and stop allowing them to manipulate policy and using their big money to do that here in the United States of America, because we didn't elect any of them. We elected our members in Congress. We elect our executive office, be it good or bad right now. I don't see it so good, but we elected them, right? So if we elect them in, they're the ones that should be doing the jobs, not people like Bill and Melinda Gates, and not people like George Soros of the world who use their money to control policies, and definitely not the likes of World Economic Forum and the United Nations. We don't get to pick those. Anyhow, I love all of you. With that, if you really want to know what's going on, get to restrictiverepublic.com. We've got inside information that we don't post anywhere else. A lot of what we talk about here is really expanded on Restrictive Republic, and we've got 3 separate broadcasters. I've got myself, Justice Knight, and we also have Laura Thompson on there. So get to restrictiverepublic.com and take advantage of $5 per month. Use the coupon code TRUMP to get that, and that's for the entire first year. It's a really good deal, especially with the amount of information that you get on there, and we also do live streams. Anyhow, I love all of you. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven signing out.